Hello students, today we are going to see some instrument, some lenses which shall be there in your exam tray. So first, when they give you a lens, the first thing you have to determine is whether it is spherical or cylindrical. So how do you do that? So first you take the lens in your hand. Like if they give you this lens which has a handle and there is no axis marking on this either. So you take this in your hand and you focus on some object. So the best thing to focus would be a small letter like the pages of your answer sheet. Then what you do, you move the lens up and down and left and right. So you have to first see whether the object you are seeing through this lens, whether it is also moving along with the movement of your lens, whether it is moving up or down when you move the lens up and down, and whether it is moving right or left when you move the lens right or left. So if it is moving on both the meridia, we can safely say that it is a spherical lens. And also if there is movement in only one meridian, supposing if you move the lens up and down, the object doesn't move, but if you are moving the lens right and left, the object is moving, then it is a cylindrical lens, meaning there is power in only one meridian, either on the horizontal meridian or the vertical meridian. So that is how we know that the lens is a spherical or a cylindrical lens. And another thing that we should do is we should rotate the lens and see whether the object that we are seeing through the lens is undergoing any rotation. If there is rotation of the object along with the rotation of the lens, then it is a cylindrical lens. So we have now ascertained whether it's a cylindrical lens or a spherical lens. Now to determine whether it is a plus cylinder, minus cylinder, or whether it is a plus spherical or minus spherical. So how do we do that? Supposing we take another lens and we focus an object. Now if we move the lens up and the object that we are seeing is moving down, that means the movement of the lens is opposite to the direction of movement of the object, then it is a plus lens, whether it is a plus cylinder or a plus spherical. Similarly, if we take another lens where the object moves in the same direction as that of the movement of our lens, then that means it is a negative lens. That means it is either a concave spherical lens or a concave cylindrical lens. So this is how we determine whether it is a plus or a minus lens. So another trick to know whether it is a spherical or a cylindrical lens is to see whether the lens has got a handle or not, and whether there is any axis marking. So if we see this lens, we can see a handle and there is no axis marking on the lens. As you can see, there is no axis marking. Similarly, in this lens we are seeing that there is no handle but there is an axis marking. So this is a cylindrical lens. So we can say that any lens who has got no handle and an axis marking is a cylindrical lens. Similarly, this lens where we find a handle but no axis marking, that is a spherical lens. Now there is another optical instrument that is given in your tray, which is the pinhole. So what is a pinhole? So it's basically a disc like thing with a handle with a small aperture in the center. So people will ask you what is the size of this aperture. So the size is 0.3 millimeter. So now they will ask you what is the significance of this instrument. So we have to say that if the patient reads through this aperture and there is actually an improvement in the level of vision, then we can safely say that the patient is suffering from a refractive error. Or if the vision worsens further while seeing through this aperture, we can say that the defect is not refractive, rather the defect is in the retina or the other structures of the eye. Now we are going to look into the uses of these lenses. So first is the concave spherical lens. So as we can see, it has got a handle and there is no axis marking, and if we see an object through this lens, the movement of the object will be along with the movement of the lens. So where do we use this? So we use this in the treatment of simple myopia and also in certain instruments which are the direct ophthalmoscope, the indirect ophthalmoscope, and in the operating microscopes. Now next is the convex spherical lens. As we can see, there is also this handle and there is no axis marking, and the movement of the objects will be opposite to the direction of movement of this lens. So we use this in the treatment of simple hypermetropia, presbyopia, aphakia, and also in certain low visual aids. And in instruments we use this in gonioscopes, in the central lens of the gonioscope, and also in the direct ophthalmoscope. Now next is the concave cylinder. As we can see, there is no handle, rather there is also a axis marking. Here is the axis marking, and since this is concave, meaning this is a negative cylinder, so if we see an object through this, the movement of the object will be along the movement of this lens. So we use this in the treatment of regular myopic astigmatism. So the word here, the important thing here to note is we should mention the word regular astigmatism. Now next is the convex cylinder, which is the plus cylinder. As you can see, it is written, the power is written plus 3.25. there is this axis marking and there is no handle. So this, since this is a plus cylinder, we have to see that the movement of the object through this lens will be opposite to the direction of movement of this lens. And where we use this in the treatment of regular hypermetropic astigmatism. So now if the examiner asks, then what do you use in the treatment of irregular astigmatism? So we have to say that we use rigid contact lenses for the treatment of irregular astigmatism. Thank you. Good morning, students. Here is another instrument that you need to know, that will be there in your instrument table. It's the evisceration scoop. So how does this look? This looks like a spoon or spade. This is a rectangular blade which is slightly curving. So this is used in the evisceration procedure to scoop out the intraocular contents. So first they will ask you, what do you mean by evisceration? So evisceration is a process of taking out the intraocular contents of the eyeball. That means the lens, the vitreous, the retina and choroid, leaving behind the sclera and the optic nerve. Next they will ask you what are the indications for evisceration. So you do evisceration only in cases of panophthalmitis and also in cases of expulsive hemorrhage. So they will ask you, then why not in endophthalmitis or why not in painful blind eye? Rather, these are the contraindications which means we never do evisceration in cases of painful blind eye or disfigured eye. So why don't we do it? Because if we do evisceration in those cases, there will be chances of sympathetic ophthalmia. So what is sympathetic ophthalmia? So sympathetic ophthalmia means supposing one eye is damaged due to trauma, and there are certain rod and cone antibodies which have leaked from that damaged eye. So they will incite an antigenic immunogenic reaction of the healthy eye. So the healthy eye will also get affected. It will get a picture of severe inflammation and even blindness, almost as if it is sympathizing with the traumatic eye. So it is not safe to do evisceration in cases of those disfigured or traumatic eye, because in cases of evisceration, supposing some pieces of retina or choroid are left behind, because it is not possible to scoop out the entire contents, even microscopic contents, with this scoop. So if those are remaining, then those remaining antibodies of the traumatic eye will go and damage the normal eye, causing sympathetic ophthalmitis of the normal eye. So we don't do evisceration in cases of severely disfigured or traumatic eye. So we do evisceration only in cases of panophthalmitis, which is a condition where the entire ocular contents are dead. So even if we leave behind some pieces of the dead retina or uvea, they don't have any antigenic potential to go and damage the normal eye. So we use it only in cases of panophthalmitis, or if the examiner asks if is there any other use, then only we should have to say that yes, we can also use it in cases of expulsive choroidal hemorrhage, where already the intraocular contents are coming out. So we are simply facilitating the process by scooping them out. So now the examiner will ask you, so what are the structures that we take out through this by this evisceration scoop? So we have to say the lens, vitreous, the choroid and retina, not the cornea, because the cornea is removed by cutting with the corneal scissors. So this scoop is only introduced into the eye after removal of the cornea. Now next is the enucleation scissors, which is not in the tray, but the examiner might ask you. So the enucleation scissor is simply a very long scissors with a curved blade and a blunt tip. So you also have to know the indications of enucleation and the steps of enucleation and the contraindications of enucleation. Thank you.